Okay, Jean, go ahead.
Welcome, everyone, to the continuation of our 30-minute CA Workload Automation Tech Talk series. Today, we're joined by Mark Hansen, Engineering Services Architect with CA Technologies. He will discuss easy migrations with CA Workload Automation AE. You can get a copy of today's slides on the CA Workload Automation user community site. They should be ready shortly after the webcast or later today. If you would like to ask a question, please submit it using the Q&A button on your screen. We'll address questions at the end. Okay, Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Jean. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're going to cover a lot of material here quickly, so buckle up, and here we go. So this Tech Talk will discuss the best practices for migrating from CA Automation 11.0 to the current release of Workload Automation AE 11.3.6. So we'll provide some information for you to help start and reduce risks. Here's the disclaimer. To start, we'll quickly cover these key topics, benefits. It's a huge leap from R11 to the current release, 11.3.6, Service Pack 4. There have been some significant improvements in performance, security, and usability with WCC and iDash. Changes. Change brings opportunity to take advantage of the many new features. In addition to new features, we'll also review some of the changes between releases. And planning. We'll also talk about building a plan and minimizing risk, then continue with a review of a parallel migration strategy and introduce some new tools to help simplify the process. Performance. CA analyzed and compared a large customer's workload when run on both Unicenter Autosys JM11 R11 SP5 and CA Workload Automation AE 11.3.6 SP1. The results were outstanding. All major performance indicators improved. From CA Workload Automation AE Release 11.3.6 SP3 onwards, the scheduler runs in multi-threaded listener mode where connections from multiple agents are processed simultaneously as opposed to the serial processing of statuses from agents earlier. This provides increased throughput of jobs and decrease in event latency. Also, the number of auto-ping timeouts and false chase alarms are reduced. In this table here, you can see the job latency. This is the difference in time between the start job event and the starting event. The vertical latency is the difference in time between starting event and the running event. Horizontal latency, and these are all in seconds, is also referred to as the average latency. This is the average processing time required for all events. So while you can see that the average latency increased slightly, the overall throughput and total events processed increased by a significant percentage. Security. New encryption options are available. AES encryption for both client and agent communication can be configured using default or custom encryption keys. FIPS, the Federal Information Processing Standards, is a set of guidelines for security best practices. The FIPS mode option provides compliance with FIPS 148-2 and is an available option for EEM, AE server, and client, as well as agents. The latest versions include improved SSL security. The latest TLS protocol versions are supported, and there are options to upgrade cipher strength. We are proactively notifying customers on the impact of significant vulnerabilities. For example, we've published notices on Poodle, Logjam, and Drown. We've also published guidance on using private sign certificates with EEM, WCC, and iDash. This includes upgrading the certificates to SHA-2 where applicable. Here are some links to resources on CA communities. The last two topics are available in both print and video format. And I know we're going through this quickly, but as a reminder, you'll get a copy of this at the end. Usability. Just a few of the general usability improvements. You can now define virtual resources to use as job dependencies. More options are available for configuring and managing failover in high availability environments. The new Oracle data pump option, which provides a more robust method of synchronizing databases. New status attribute allows you to set an initial status when adding jobs. And you can now set a description for calendars. For WCC, just a few of the many WCC usability improvements include a simplified installer. Setting changes no longer require a restart of WCC services. A single session timeout. What this means is that tabs no longer time out independently. There's persistence of UI state between user logins, a customizable dashboard, and an improved user experience for monitoring and quick view. Please consider CA Workload Automation iDash to add additional value following your migration. iDash allows you to visualize complex relationships and proactively monitor SLAs, which will reduce troubleshooting time and effort, result in fewer disruptions to critical workload, and a reduction in missed SLAs. Some of the changes. As you can tell by looking at this slide, there have been a few releases since 11.0. Many new features and enhancements have been made. Let's take a few minutes to review some of those. For EEM, there's support for multiple domains. You can have basic LDAP directory, multiple Active Directory domains, and Active Directory forest. CA EEM now uses SHA-2 for the following tasks: for managing client-server communication, storing user passwords, and also to manage application certificates. EEM now has native 64-bit support for Solaris, Linux, AIX, HPUX, Itanium, also support for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7, Oracle Enterprise Linux 7, SUSE 12, and Windows 2012. You can have a customized key length for SSL certificates and support for Kerberos authentication against Microsoft Active Directory. You can import audit events into a database. Safe Audit Import tool can import audit events from the audit log to a database to generate reports. Safe Audit Import tool supports DataDirect JDBC drivers. The EEM high availability feature can modify to support two modes: an internal high availability mode in which failover is handled internally, as the name suggests, and an external high availability mode in which failover is handled by an external load balancer such as Apache or HA proxy. And also the security updates support for TLS 1.2, Cypher Suite option, and upgrade of the JRE to 1.8. The 11.3 and 11.3 SP1 releases saw the introduction of new agents and job types. You can now define virtual resources to use as job dependencies. These can be depletable, renewable, or threshold-based. The addition of must start and must complete attributes and alarms provide another great way to monitor and notify. Log maintenance at the server level was improved by the introduction of log rollover parameters. The pound sign is now valid in workload objects like jobs and calendars, and support for IPv6 was added. Release 11.3.5 saw the introduction of more new job types like microfocus and remote execution. This was the first release to feature a new web server component and RESTful web services. A new AS-based job type resource class and policy supports authorization of jobs based on their job types. You can now send email notifications on job completion. More options are available for configuring and managing failover in high availability environments. The FIPS mode option referenced earlier was added in this release. Also an option to disable IP caching for environments using dynamic IP addressing. The auto-syslog command was updated to allow for retrieval of job spool files, and more security policy authorization for jobs. The 11.3.6 release added external security authentication for command line utilities. This release also allowed you to limit the maximum number of lines to retrieve from job logs. The 11.3.6 SP1 release saw a number of changes and new features. Core file creation is now enabled on Unix-based platforms. A DB-main failure alarm will now fire whenever the DB-main process fails. This release introduced the Oracle Data Pump option I mentioned earlier. New status attribute allows you to set an initial status when adding jobs. The log rollover feature was improved with a purge option. The AS owner resource class controls if a user has permission to include the owner attribute in a job definition or update, override, or delete any job attribute. And the job name attribute now allows for use of a colon. Starting with 11.3.6 SP2, full documentation is no longer included on the media. Documentation is now hosted on our DocOps platform. Additional features added in SP2 include the ability to retrieve machine information using web services and the option to add descriptions to calendars. 11.3.6 SP3 was the Hadoop release. Support was added in the engine and WCC for the CA Workload Automation Advanced Integration for Hadoop. This is a big data made easy. With the advanced integration for Hadoop, you can integrate Hadoop workflow with your existing automation, lowering costs, reducing time and effort while accelerating your big data projects. 11.3.6 SP4 is the current release, which adds support for Oracle PKI authentication. Some of the benefits of this approach include it's a standards-based technology, allows the choice of trust provider, and is highly scalable. Moving on to WCC, in the 11.3 base release, the new monitoring application replaces job flow monitoring. The new resources component allows for management of virtual resources. The new reports forecast application allows creation and display of forecast reports for job runs. And new batch interface utilities for monitoring, filtering job types, and job template. A new reporting application was added in WCC 11.3.5. This includes a set of predefined reports, including job run and job status details and more. You can add and configure additional tabs in WCC for any custom applications you may want to make available. A more robust high availability mode was made available in WCC 11.3.5. This included use of a shared database and use of a common instance of EEM. No more core spectator model. Migration utilities. Several migration utilities are included in WCC now, which allow you to convert job flow monitoring, job status console, and other objects, including ECLI commands, to the current release. And job status console and monitoring have been merged into a single application. In WCC 11.3.6, the WCC, ECLI, and forecast applications are supported when WLA AE is configured to run with strict and external mode authentication. There are also enhancements made to credentials, dashboard, monitoring, quick view, and EEM. WCC 11.4 SP1, support for Oracle 12c and Microsoft SQL Server 2014 were added for the WCC and monitoring database. The calendar description enhancement that I mentioned earlier was added to WCC in this release, as well as a calendar name length extension. WCC also now supports the Safari browser. And you now have the option to select a default time zone for WCC users. Users can still customize their time zone via their individual profile. In WCC 11.4 SP2, the table views of forecast reports can be exported in CSV format. This release also added support for Hadoop job types. The ECLI application provides an interface to import and export workload objects. The Apache Tomcat was upgraded to version 8, which accompanied other security enhancements. Service Pack 3 at WCC 11.4 included performance improvements, more security improvements, and added Oracle PKI authentication. A comprehensive list of changes can be found within these documents, which compile all new features and changes from release 11 to the present. Moving forward, this information can be found on our DocOps site at the link shown. All right, so migration planning. Any successful migration is going to start off with a sound plan. It's a good idea to involve all stakeholders and share the responsibilities of testing. It's also best to make sure that stakeholders are prepared to deliver resources, whether that be for new hardware or staff to test the jobs. It's not unusual to encounter situations where unsupported hardware or software complicates the migration. It's a good idea to plan for this process ahead of time. Who will have to budget for upgrades, for example? The latest WLA AE release provides improved throughput and capacity. Keep this in mind when planning your migration. There are typically 3 different strategies or any combination thereof that are used to determine how to move jobs. A logical group or subset, where jobs are broken up into groups based on application or department and migrated together. A machine, typically small shops might use this strategy as their jobs relate to a machine. They upgrade the machine and migrate associated jobs at that time. And by far the most common strategy is the Big Bang. This is where all jobs are migrated at one time. Some may choose to put jobs on ice and progressively release jobs in a controlled manner. It's a good idea to have a contingency plan. So we recommend a parallel migration strategy as a best practice. This means that you will set up the new 11.3.6 environment in parallel to the existing 11.0 environment. The 11.0 environment is kept completely intact. This provides, a full contingency fallback option, which is fantastic. If anything goes wrong, you just go right back to the 11.0 that's, completely intact. New 11.3.6 clients and agents can coexist with their 11.0 counterparts. And this deployment of the clients and agents can be automated. And there's new tools available to help with that. So the AutoTrack tool is new and is specific for these types of migrations. Using the 11.3.6 web server, we can use your 11.0 agents to download and install the 11.3.6 client and agent right alongside the existing 11.0 clients and agents. So that means if you have thousands of agents to deploy, you can do it, in hours instead of days. The clients and agents will operate completely independently with no disruption to your existing operations. The 11.0 scheduler remains active, and the new 11.3.6 scheduler remains passive until the migration is complete. Using AutoTrack. Using AutoTrack is simple. There's some upfront work to set up the media repository and customize settings and deliverables for your environment. After that, it's just a matter of exporting your 11.0 machines, running the setup.sh script. The setup script will build all the GIL you need to automate deployment of components to target machines. After running the setup Trek script, the following GIL is created. This is loaded into the new scheduler, and once the repository is in place, you're ready to deploy. We'll see this in action in the demo portion of the presentation. So you can see that this GIL, the AutoTrack.GIL, creates these jobs for every machine that you have. The Git will grab a manifest file that details all of the media that you need to download. The exec job will pull all of the required media for the target machine down to the target machine, and then the subsequent jobs will install the agent, configure the agent, install a client, and then it can also update your existing agents to bring them up to the current 11.0 SP5 release if necessary. Another tool is the AutoSecConv. This program automates conversion or scrubbing of EM policies. It turns what used to be a painful, error-prone manual process into easy mode. You simply export the old policies, run them through the scrubbing bubbles of AutoSecConv, and import the updated policies to your new target EM 12.51. Here's the usage for the program and some examples, and I'll run this real quick during the demo as well. It should be noted this program only runs on Windows, but it can be run on virtually any Windows system. The most you might need is a Microsoft.NET redistributable package. There are no other prerequisites for this. All right, so demo time. We'll take a look at this. All right, Chris, I need to, okay, I think I got it. All right, so hopefully everybody can see the screen here. This is my 11.3.6 scheduler, which is installed in parallel to the 11.0 scheduler. In this bottom terminal here, I have the setup Trek script along with my exported machines. This machine GIL here is from the 11.0 scheduler. So all I have to do is run this setup script and pass it the machines GIL. And you see it creates all of the JIL I need that I referenced earlier, the jobs, the machines, or the legacy machines, and the new machines. So these all just get loaded into the 11.3.6 scheduler. You can see on the right here, I've already loaded the jobs. So you can see there's a job set here for this Windows 2008 agent. And there's also a set for this Red Hat 5 agent machine. These are the two that we're going to upgrade, or we're going to deploy our new agents to. But before I do that, I want to show the AutoTrack program here. You can see I have the executable here. This is just a straight Windows 2012 R2 system. I didn't have to install any Autosys software on this box. And I have my 11.0 policies from Autosys and also from WCC. So I can run the AutoSec, give it a -A for Autosys, a -F, and then the file name. And it takes those policies, scrubs them for use in the new EEM, and gives you the target file of EEM policy scrub AE. And then I could do the same thing for WCC. And it gives me the WCC version. So I can just take these files, move them back to the EM machine, and import them in, and I'm ready to go. My policies have all been moved. Okay, so back to here. I'm going to start with the Windows 2008 agent here in client. As you can see, I have just the 11.0 client installed here, and that, of course, comes with an agent. So I'm going to go ahead and run that first job. I'm going to check on it here. All right, so it's running. It'll take a few minutes to run. And what this job is doing is it's grabbing all of the media that it needs to perform the subsequent actions to install the agent and the client on the target machine. All right, so that's run to success. So now I'll run the next job to install the agent. Check on this one. So he's running. Give him a few minutes to run. After that, we'll run the PostScript, which just configures the agent. All right, so that's done. This guy's pretty quick. Should be anyway. All right, so that's done. And then the last one, just in the interest of time, that I'm going to run is to install the client. Oops, let's send event. This guy will take a while, so what I'll do is I'll throw him in a loop here. So we can keep an eye on him at the top terminal while I come down here and start the install for the Red Hat 5. So I'm going to run this first Git job.
Hey, Mark, while you're running those, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
There's a question from the audience. Why are these jobs not set up so that the second and third and subsequent jobs can run automatically?
That's a great question. We deliberately do not set them up like that to just give flexibility, and also for the purpose of demonstration here, I wanted to be able to go through each job independently and run them and check them and show you guys, they're running and succeeding. But one of the things we're thinking about is providing a script that would package all of these jobs into a box that would, with the dependencies as you mentioned. So, it's certainly possible to set that up yourselves, or like I said, we're looking at providing a script to do that.
Okay. Yeah, the box. They said the box would be great if we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the other reason is, some people won't want to do all of them. Maybe they may not want a client on there, that sort of thing. But, okay, so I ran the Git. Let's just check that. You can see in the top screen there that client installation went to success. All right, so my Git was success. I'm going to run the exec. So he's running. I'll stop this up top here so it doesn't annoy people. So that's ran to success. Now we'll install the agent.
So while you're running those, what is the get script doing?
The get script,
yeah,
that gets the manifest file, which contains all of a list of the media that it needs to retrieve from the repository. So it gets the manifest file, pulls it down to the target machine, then the exec job will read that manifest and pull everything from the repository to the target machine.
Great, thank you.
I hope that makes sense. Okay, so our agent succeeded there. And just going to run the PostScript. This should be relatively quick. Yep, that's done. And then finally, we'll run the client. And this guy usually takes a while, so we'll put him in the loop, which I should have set up here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so he's running. While he's running, we'll take a look at the Windows agent here that we upgraded. So now we can see that we have our old Unicenter JM R11 client, and we have our new Workload Automation AE 11.3.6 client, both happy together on the same machine. And if we look at our services here, we should see 2 agents installed. And we do, I know it's probably a little small, but hopefully you can see the Unicenter Onsys JM agent and the Workload Automation agent 11.3.4. They're both there, started running and happy. We'll come back here. This guy's still going. He should finish shortly.
One more question quickly.
Yep.
Is the PostScript meant to apply patches?
No, the PostScript is just some configuration associated with the agent. So we need to set up some of the Autosys profile stuff. Just some light housekeeping is all that is. Typically, what we'll do as far as patches is we'll supply you with the latest agent release with the package. So you'll have the, and then if there's any patches on top of that, we'll incorporate that into this as well. So you'll always be installing the latest patch set with the agent. All right, so we see that the client here failed. That's okay. What I want to do just real quick is just show how you would troubleshoot. All right, this guy failed, so how do we find out what happened? So we can go here to the target machine, open up a terminal. Let me zoom this in a bit. And go to everything happens in the temp directory. So that's where the media gets downloaded and the log files are. So you see we have all our log files here for all the different jobs. So to find out what happened, I can just take a look at the install client. I can look at the out file here. All right, so, all right, I got this agent startup failed message. I can look at the error. Oops. All right, that is the error. Okay, so actually, so if I go to OpCA here, I know what happened here. It's because I've been messing around with the script a little bit. All right, so you can see here I actually have my two clients. My clients are installed, but the job still failed. That's because there's a post-checking process as part of the job that checks to make sure that the agent is up and running after the client's installed, just as a kind of a sanity check. So the actual client succeeded to install, but I have a bug because I was messing with the script that I have to fix for that. All right. So that's the end of the demo. We'll go back to finish up the slide. If I can figure out how to get my other self presenter back here. Hey, Chris, is it possible that you can switch me back to presenter?
Sure.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I have it.
There you go.
Okay. Great. All right, so everybody can see the slides again? Data migration?
Yep, I see it.
All right, great. All right, the final step is to move your data. So there are two options for data migration, Data Mover and the AutoSys Upgrade Assistant, or AUA. Data Mover comes with the 11.3.6 install. It's a good idea to apply the latest maintenance to the Workload Automation AE 11.3.6 install prior to running Data Mover. Using the most current version of Data Mover will give you the best results. 11.3.6 offers the ability to increase the RAM to be used by Data Mover, which can greatly increase performance. A native JDBC driver is required, typically installed with most database client software. An example would be Oracle's OJDBC6.jar. JDBC drivers typically favor a particular version of JRE. In the Oracle example where OJDBC6 is provided, the presumption there is that JRE 1.6 will be present. Incidentally, at least in the case of Oracle, the JRE of the correct version is also included with the client. Data Mover will not convert database types. In other words, it will not translate an Oracle source database to a Sybase or Microsoft SQL Server database. The source and target must be the same type. And of course, Data Mover only supports the AutoSys versions 4.5.1 and R11 and their respective database versions. The CA AutoSys Upgrade Assistant, or AUA, it's a free facility that permits the building of packages whereby AutoSys objects can be analyzed, modified, and moved over. The AUA also allows for customization scripts to be injected in the move so alterations can be done on the fly. And it's also important to note that it does not make any changes to the source environment, and you don't have to have a target set up or connected to it to use it, which is awesome. The AUA requirements, it basically requires a Windows 64-bit system with an 11.3.6 Workload Automation client installed on it, and also Perl if you wish to write any Perl mod scripts. In this table, you can see the differences in functionality between AUA and Data Mover. Some of the key differences are AUA will support the use of a different database source and target. AUA will correct syntax and flag warnings. Data Mover will copy the run history and future events. Some customers will run AUA to clean things up and then move those changes back into their source environment and run Data Mover. But really, either way is fine, however you choose to move forward. And that's it. Jean, I think you had a few more remarks.
Go ahead and advance the slide then.
Yep.
Okay, for those of you who would like to ask a question, please use your Q&A panel on your screen. So Chris, can you go to the next slide? So while we're waiting for more questions, I'd like to let you know that we are already calling for speakers for CA World 16. If you're interested in speaking, you can submit a session topic using the URL shown on this screen. Also, next slide please. We're taking your input on what topics you'd like to see at CA World. This year we have a very comprehensive 2 days of pre-conference education for CA Workload Automation. There will be approximately 16 sessions per day on pre-conference education for just workload automation. Other product lines will also have pre-con, but workload automation is especially lucky to have additional sessions this year for pre-conference education. So let us know what you'd like to see, and you can also submit topics out there with the same URL. All right, let's go and see if there are any other questions. Yeah, a couple that came in. Mark, can the repository be hosted internally, or does it require internet access? Because not all of our agents have internet connectivity.
No, it does not require internet access at all. The repository is actually hosted on the 11.3.6 scheduler machine via the web server option.
Okay.
So it's strictly internal.
Also, why was the 11.3.4 agent defined to start manually? Shouldn't it be automatic as well as the R11 agent?
That's a great pickup there. Absolutely, and that's just a function of the silent installer script or properties. So that can be updated in those properties files, and that would result in that being installed in the automatic startup mode. So yeah, that's just an oversight on my part in setting that file up. That's part of the when you're setting up the repository in the beginning, you're going to be setting up those types of things. Setting up your properties file for your agents, target agents, and that sort of thing.
Okay, and then there's one more question. One of our listeners joined a little bit late, and they wanted to know the AutoTrek utility. Can they get information on what release that becomes available? And could they use this to update agents on the machine? So, and I think if they listen to the replay of this webcast, they'll see that they can use those to update agents.
Yeah, if they were, that's a great question. If they were interested in, let's say, for example, they had old 11.0 agents everywhere that they wanted to upgrade to the 11.0 SP5, maybe in preparation for the migration, because it's important that the agent and some of the other shared components on the 11.0 side be at a certain level to be compatible with the new client and agent. So absolutely, they could use this, maybe slight modifications, but they could use this to upgrade all of their agents.
Even those that are 11.3.4, even those agents that are 11.3.4?
If they have an 11.0 agent on there, then yes, again, there might be some modifications needed, but absolutely. The key is that the key in this facility is that it uses the 11.0 agent to install the 11.3.6 components, the agent and the client, and then it'll turn around and it'll use that 11.3 agent to upgrade the 11.0 agent. It's pretty slick that way. works pretty very well, actually.
Great. Okay. Well, that's all the questions we have today, and we did go over our 30-minute session, but I think the questions were very, very good. So thanks for your time today, and just a reminder, today's presentation will be posted on the user community as well as the webcast replay. Thanks again, and this ends our webcast.
Thanks, everybody.